I almost didn't include a little snapshot of the deck. I recorded the whole gameplay video and I realized I hadn't recorded a part of the video where it just shows the deck. So let's go through it really fast before we get into the gameplay. I have a separate video talking about the high level concept of what the deck is and how the deck functions. But this one's just going to go through the cards really fast. It's not meant to go super in depth, but just keep it short. Basically, we're going to have a bunch of lost souls out here like Complacent. We're going to have Salty that prevents enhancements. We're just going to have lost souls that are trying to mess with the opponent and stop what they're doing. Especially this one. This one's really good. Protects your hand and deck from opponent's cards if you've drawn 4 or fewer cards this turn. We got a standard dominant package, Son of God, Second Coming, Three Woes. They're almost in every deck. Harvest Time, you don't see this in every deck, but this one's really good in this deck because you can get all the lost souls out with it. Crowd's Choice is a good tutor for anything you need at the time. Usually on turn 1, if you draw it, you're going to go grab Matthew with this maybe. In the gameplay, you'll see how I'm able to use Mayhem too. This is just a powerful card in general. Chronicle of the Kings. I think the reason this card's in here is because some of the cards that this deck is weak to can get destroyed by it. So this can, it destroys temple artifacts if you use the evil dominant side. So that's going to take out Holy of Holies, which kind of shuts this deck down. The cross also is great with the whole trying to restrict what your opponent's doing plan. And incidentally, Golgotha can holds the cross. So that's a cool gameplay tip. If you have the Golgotha out, you can activate the cross on it. Manger, I think it's here mainly for its star ability. You can play a lost soul from your deck if you have in your opening hand or if you draw it during the first cards of your turn. So we're going to have cards like this, Day of Judgment, the Ascension. There might be like, yeah, another one, Lost Child Found. All these star abilities super consistently play a card, Lost Soul from my deck. Harris Temple is probably one of the best fortresses in the game. Not only does it give your gospel humans protection, which incidentally, this guy's a gospel human. Matthew, Luke, Mark. This protects evil characters and good characters. It's not going to protect Herod Agrippa, though. He's Axe. He's not a gospel human, as far as I know. I don't know exactly what the definition of gospel is, but I'm assuming it's just the books of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. So not only does it provide protection, it can provide a powerful toss ability. So let's say I have like a big evil character blocking. I can reserve the top card of my deck to start tossing enhancements. So it's going to be really hard for the opponent to get around them. This also is good for when you put out lost souls from everybody's deck. You can go and trade this for their best one during your turn before you attack. And just quickly going through the offense, we have Matthew, we have Simon. Best card in the game probably right now. This card, I don't think there's anything better at drawing you a bunch of cards. And if you need to, if you're playing Redemption, I feel like you either have to have a plan to beat this card, or you're either playing him or trying to beat him. You know, Simon's another strong card. Choosing to block is really powerful, especially because you can choose a block and he has such low numbers where you can play the first enhancement in battle. Other characters, if they have really high power and toughness and you choose to block, that's not as effective. So Justin Martyr, he's a martyr, so he works well with your searching cards, and you can get Blood of the Lamb over and over again. So negate an evil card, draw 3, play enhancement. So good. David, he's just like a powerful turn 1 play. You can play him, convert him to meat, go grab an Old Testament card, which is going to be, I don't know, you got Noah. Where's Royal Parade? Yeah, you can go grab a battle winner. Of David, of all the cards in the deck, I don't know. He just seems like the weakest one to me right now. I feel like there's a better slot for him. Lazarus, super strong. You can convert him to a meek to negate evil cards, so it's just like a strong turn 1 attack, or even late in the game. Noah has felt really good, even though he's Old Testament, you know, doesn't really vibe with the rest of the deck. Just ability to shuffle something in a territory, prevent cards. Works surprisingly well. You know, who knew a 10-11 prevent all cards is good? And you have some consistency, like the Angel of the Winds. That you're trying to make sure you can attack with Matthew on turn 1 or get the hero right here you need with the Reassuring Angels, Angel of the Wind, and where's the other angel? Yeah, this one. And last be Patmos. So those are like your search abilities. If you don't have one of these in your opening hand, it's like pretty unfortunate. So Lost Child Found is a pretty good card because it might not seem that good, but it's good. It bounces other cards. So let's say your opponent has, I don't know, Nazareth and Holy of Holies out. You can Lost Child Found, get rid of 2 hate cards for a turn. That just might be enough you need to get a rescue attempt in there. Let's talk a little bit about the defense. It's all Herods. So each card in the deck is designed to be like a strong block by itself, or like search for a strong block. So Herod Agrippa, this card is good against more than one hero and opponent's dominance. This guy's good from single heroes. Herod helps you get your temple and can also choose a hero to attack. This guy searches for Herods. This guy searches for Herods. Deceiver searches for Herods. And Herodias can get a Herod from reserve. We'll look at that in a second. This card is good on offense or defense. I think that's all I'm going to talk about right now. Let's go to the... I don't want this to get too long. Let's go to the reserve, shall we? Some plays that are good. Going crowd's choice into Foreign Wives, grabbing this from your reserve to do a free block. Let's say they attack you with their own Matthew and they draw a billion cards. You can just block with Foreign Wives. Chances are they can't get through that. Herod Antipas is another good card to grab from reserve. You can grab your Feudal Inquisition or Contagious Fear and just get some free chump blocks. And here's like a strong package of cards that can be fetched with. Yeah, there's a bunch of cards in the deck that get stuff out of reserve, and these are just a strong package of cards that are useful. So that being said, let's get into the gameplay. Alrighty, here we're doing some gameplay of Soul Surfers. Let's see what's going on. Okay, so for this hand, looks like they drew 4 Lost Souls, and I drew 1. Notably, they have the Lost Soul that protects their hand in deck unless they've drawn cards this turn. I have the Salty Lost Soul, which prevents prevents enhancements from being played unless a hero's in battle. So I think I would have played my Ascension Star, but this also would prevent that. I believe I won the die roll here. So I'm trying to do a Matthew rescue here, but I can't do Matthew if their hand is protected. So I'm going to go ahead, use Son of God to negate and rescue that Lost Soul. Use Patmos to search deck through for Matthew. And we're going to draw so many cards. Well, that's the plan anyways. Something I have to worry about is like searching in battle. That'll trigger one of his Lost Souls. So I'm going to try to avoid searching in battle. So that's why I didn't use my Angel of the Winds here. I'm off to a 1-0 Lost Soul lead because of Son of God. Matthew says I have to reveal a good dominant from hand or convert him. So I decided to reveal a good dominant, which was actually a mistake in retrospect because I had a clay enhancement in hand and I didn't have any purple. So I'm taking a look here at his hand. It's like, I don't know, 6 or 7. 6. So he's running Thieves as his defense here. I'm going to draw 6 cards off of that. Now I get to protect my hand with my protection Lost Soul on my turn. I love this Lost Soul because it's perfect. When I'm playing defense, that's when I want the shields up. When I'm playing offense, I want to be able to draw cards. And so that Lost Soul is good for that. He's going for Crouch Choice, going to try to mount a defense here. And look at my hand. I didn't draw any purple enhancements, so Matthew's just a sitting duck right now. I guess I could have Chronicle of the Kings to back him up. Looks like he's grabbing Three Woes to negate my protection. He really values being able to attack my hand and deck. He's using a Deceiver card, which will be able to exchange a card from his deck or reserve, but reserve is off limits on turn 1 and turn 2. Okay, so here comes the Plunderers. If I had a good enhancement in my hand, he would have been prevented by the Plunderers and taken. Bans to a Thief. I'm looking at my deck to see what kind of options I have. I think I have Crouch Choice in my hand. So I could, in theory, like search for an enhancement in my deck. I was just checking my deck list to see, you know, if there are any good purple enhancements I could have grabbed here. And so Royal Parade, I could have grabbed. Authority of Christ, could have grabbed Day of Judgment. But I didn't see a point in doing that because one of the Thief was just going to take it, you know, prevent it and take it. So I really messed up here. I should have converted him to Clay Brigade, and that way I would have been able to toss one of my useless enhancements and like play the Ascension and band more people in. So Matthew, unfortunately, is just going to take the L here. My defense is pretty slim pickings right now. I only have 1 evil character and like 1 evil enhancement. So the cool thing about Herodias' Daughter is Herodias' Daughter can set us reserve a good card in a territory, I think. And so he played his 3 Woes on good. So that means if I get a block off with Herodias' Daughter, I can reserve or underdeck his 3 Woes. I forget which one it is, but that's pretty big. I'm going to go ahead. I'm trying to pull off a big Mayhem right here. So I'm trying to get all the cards in my hand down as low as possible before I fire off the Mayhem. I could have gone Crouch Choice for like a character and played the character, but I decided to just go for Mayhem there. I'm not sure if it was correct keeping the Crouch Choice in my deck or not. Maybe I should have got another evil character here because my defense was pretty lacking. So Mayhem says each player must shuffle their hand or 6 cards at random from the hand and draw 6. So for me, I basically get to shuffle my 4 cards and then draw 6. And notably, if he takes a card from my hand with a Thief, that card has to go back to me. So he took that from my hand from the character. Shuffle that back in. Technically, I should have, you know, before I drew all these cards, I should have shuffled all the cards back in, but we missed that. Drew Herod's Temple, which is going to be good for protecting my guys in my territory. Protects New Testament heroes in territory. All right, then it's his turn. That card's really good. If I play like a 3-color enchantment, he's going to draw 3 cards. So unfortunately, my hand is Royal Parade, Blood of the Lamb, and Day of Judgment, which are all 3-color cards. He also drew a Lost Soul that if it gets rescued, I have to skip my next rescue attempt. So that's one way to slow me down. Yep, there it is. Yeah, undesirables. That card's really good. Because sometimes the games come down to just who can go faster. And so if he copies it with imitate Lost Soul, he can slow me down for 2 turns, you know? Like I rescue the imitate Lost Soul, slows me down, and I go in, I have to rescue undesirables again. It slows me down another turn. So he has ways to put the brakes on me. I'm looking at my artifacts here. They don't seem like to do anything. One of them, I could negate a neutral Lost Soul. Him Sable protects his hand, deck, and reserve. He doesn't have any nativity cards. So it's just, I guess, a good card for protecting your stuff. I think he's trying to go for the Matthew play here. Notably, Three Woes is negating my protection Lost Soul. So Matthew will be able to just ride on in here and look at my hand. He's grabbing Judas, which punishes any sort of card draw that I'm going to be trying to do. Blood of the Lamb is a card that can draw 3 cards, optionally. And here he's going to hit me with Confusion of Mind. So Confusion of Mind, when it gets activated, opponent must discard 2 cards in hand. You can't just like discard it at any time. Yeah, whenever they activate it, that's when. So I'm going to discard these 2 enhancements. Blood of the Lamb is a card that can be gotten back from the deck by a card named Justin Martyr, so you don't mind discarding it. I'm going to hold on to my Royal Parade and Day of Judgment, but if I wanted him to maybe draw less cards off of a Matthew attack, maybe I should have discarded all those cards and just kept like the purple brigade card in my hand. Because let's see, if he attacks me with Matthew, that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cards. And if I just discarded some enhancements in a different way, maybe it was only 2 cards. Looking at my reserve now. I don't think I can access it during this turn. Another Lost Soul I have out is the one that restricts dominance during the battle phase. So that makes me a lot more confident in my attacks and blocks, knowing that any dominance cannot be played during battle. I'm just seeing my options for a potential attack next turn to grab a New Testament card from reserve with that artifact, which is pretty good. Even if you don't have the option to bounce anybody, just grabbing something from reserve is always a good idea. All right, let's just skip ahead and see. Yep, here comes Matthew. And here comes a block. And it says reserve a good card in territory. So if they have the 3 woes on good, I can reserve that. So I was deciding, like, do I hit Judas? Do I hit 3 woes? 3 woes, I feel like, was the right call for sure. So that's now until the end of the phase, that card is still in effect. So my Lost Soul is still being negated. But once we hit the next phase, that Lost Soul will start coming online again. So let's do a revolt. I'm going to band to their stuff. And this would have been really good if I'd been able to attack their hand with that Commended Thief. But they have stable out, so their hand is protected. But now they're in special initiative. Everyone's being set aside because of revolt. And there's not much he can do because the thief that I banded into battle prevents and takes the next enhancement. So he can't like put 2 enhancements to try and save himself. He has to only do it in 1. This Plunderers is really gonna put the brakes on anything he's going to try to do. Because, yeah, he had a negate. He's just showing me he had a negate, but the plunderers would have taken it. So, and prevented and taken it. So I guess the only way out of this would have been enhancement that could not have been prevented. So everyone's going to set aside now until my next rescue attempt. Okay. So I drew a lost soul called the Wanderer, and the Wanderer says before I make a rescue attempt, I can switch it with an opponent's lost soul. So I'm just thinking right now, like, what do I want to try and switch out? I don't know. So there's a lot of good options over there. He's discarding down to hand size, putting artifacts down, putting evil characters down. I pick up some more gas. Justin Martyr is the card I said earlier that could get Blood of the Lamb back. He's a martyr. So all my cards that search out James, John, John, Matthew, and also get Justin Martyr. Almost. Okay, activating Matthew's Begats is like a backup. Before battle, I'm going to do the swap here with the Wanderer Lost Soul. There's like a cool thing in Lackey, like if you hold down the middle mouse button and drag, you do an arrow, but it looks kind of bad. And so I don't use it that much, but if you're doing like a non-verbal match, that's like an easy way to point at things. And then in Mac, it's like command backspace to get rid of that. So I'm thinking here, what do I want to do? I want to try and present a strong rescue. So my Angel of the Winds is going to swap out for Noah. I'm going to convert Noah to Meek to prevent evil or prevent cards. And when I do that, I also get a shuffle. So I have to shuffle a card. I decided to shuffle the Deceiver. My opponent was giving me some tips, and he's like, if you ever see Deceiver, he's like one of the best characters in the game, you should shuffle him. So I was like, okay. Because who knows what he's going to grab from his deck or reserve, you know? The Deceiver cannot be prevented. So even if I'm going in attack with Noah, Deceiver would be able to search. So maybe there's also an argument for like shuffling Judas or something to try and unlock some more card draw on my half. Because like, what if I don't care that Noah got killed? I could use my Matthew's Begats, abandon Justin Martyr, and maybe use like... But Justin Martyr's ability would be prevented, so actually, probably not a good idea. Okay, he's thinking about his options here. A 10-11, preventing all fight. It's like 10-11 fight for the numbers. I get to play any cards. It's pretty strong. Yeah, and he's just going to give me the Lost Soul. You can't fight that. You can't contest that. I have Royal Parade in my hand, which can't be prevented, so Noah into Royal Parade. Really strong attack. All right, passing the turn to him. Got my Protection Lost Soul back online. My defense is looking really weak, though. I don't have much going on here. I have a Herald's Temple and a Herodias Daughter. So now that the reserve is unlocked, Herodias' Daughter can go search for one of my characters I have in reserve. So that's going to be helpful. It's going to give me something to do. And this is the concept of all my characters are strong. Or that's the concept that See the Tree is advocating, the creator of this deck. And so because Herodias' Daughter can like just block by herself almost by exchanging with somebody. That's really going to help me out here when I'm low on cards, low on resources, and just to have my back up against the wall. His offense is coming out the gate swinging. His strategy is to try and whittle away all my evil cards. So cards like Martha, opponent must reserve evil card for hand. Cards like Dreadable, cards like Jehu, these are all taxing my evil resources. So his idea is to keep attacking me, keep whittling away my evil. But luckily for me, I have Herod's Temple in play, which protects New Gospel heroes or something. New Testament or Gospel. So my opponent just did a little trick there with Chamber of Angels. During his prep phase, he can move his heavenly host in and out of Chamber of Angels 4 times. 4 is like the maximum number of times you can do something in a turn. And so he's creating either 3 or 4 heavenly host tokens. That's going to be used maybe later on in the game. He has a card that lets him draw cards equals to the number of nativity cards he has in play. So that's why he wants to try and get that many cards out. It's like just enabling his draw engine. He's not really trying to attack me with angels. He's just using chamber plus heavenly host to just draw a bunch of cards and just churn through his deck and be really consistent. Okay. So Falling Away is a card that I've become really impressed with. It's an evil dominant that says convert a hero to an evil character till end of turn. And I've been seeing it, my opponent's been using it against me. So for example, like you convert a good hero into a brown evil character, and he like forces me to block with that. I don't play brown in my deck, so what am I gonna do? If he forces me to block with somebody. Like my Noah. I think Noah is gonna get discarded by Jehu. I think somehow. I think the sword is being prevented, but I think we're actually not preventing it. We forget that's being prevented. So that play didn't really work out for him if he was trying to make me block with that. If his goal was to try and get rid of Noah, then his plan worked perfectly. I think I want to if I had to make any changes to this deck, I think Falling Away would be really strong. You have a lot of cards that allow you to choose evil characters or heroes to attack. So all right. He's doing a Jarius ability. Not really super impactful right now. I think he just got to search for something. I'm going to take something from my reserve. Okay, it looks like I decided to reserve Judas. Get him out of here. So I grabbed Herod Antipas, who can grab a New Testament Evil Enchantment from reserve. So him into Feudal Inquisition is a really strong block. There's nothing he can do there. He doesn't have special initiative because I'm not killing him. And so he can't play a negate card, which he probably has. So even though he has all of his heroes out, just because I have like the Protection Lost Soul and a Herod, I'm able just to hold on barely. Okay, I drew Angel of the Winds again. He can go fetch me somebody from my deck. Angel of the Winds fetching for Simon the Zealot, or Zealous, I guess, is really strong. I'm gonna get that Lost Soul out there because I don't want him slowing me down. I think it's a race at this point. I don't think my defense holds for another turn. I'm up at 3-0, but he hasn't played Son of God or New Jerusalem yet. I could attack with Justin Martyr, but I think forcing him to block with something is a lot better. So yeah, let me just swap him out. Simon the Zealous is one of the strongest characters in this deck, if second to Matthew. Because watch, I'm gonna convert him to, oh. So notably, he negates Lost Souls. So if I was relying on my hand protection here, I think I played this incorrectly. I think I told my opponent that my hand is protected, but in reality, the Lost Souls are negated. So that is a mistake by my part here. And so he probably would have been able to grab Authority of Christ out of my hand, and which would have made this battle a lot more interesting, because I'm just going to play Authority of Christ. Looks like I go for Day of Judgment. I maybe should have maybe converted Simon into a Clay Brigade hero, because if I do that, Authority of Christ could not have been negated. Okay. He's going to try and stop me. Interrupt the battle, capture a human. Luckily for me, I got a Royal Parade. And I also have a Matthews Begats that could add a character to battle. So a little misplay by my part, just forgetting the negate on the Lost Soul there. He would have been able to grab a card from my hand. So even if he did grab Authority of Christ, I don't think it would have mattered. It might have mattered in an attack from him, because he could have used that authority. But okay. So he just gave me this Lost Soul that was a clone of the one that prevented me from doing rescue attempts. So he's trying to slow me down. So next turn I can't attack. Trying to get the number of cards down in my hand for the humble Lost Soul. I don't know. Lazarus, he has a card named Lazarus. Lazarus can potentially prevent my evil cards. So now it's his turn. I have 3 Woes out. I have my Chronicles, but my Lost Soul is preventing them from being played during battle, except when Simon comes to play. So there's just like a lot of things like that where it's hard to keep track of all the protection and what's protected and what's not protected. Sometimes that's really hard. Takes a lot of muscle memory to do it. Okay, he's using Send the Helper to grab Authority of Christ, I think. And he's looking for a very potent attack. I think Herod's Temple prevents his card from choosing me to block. I'm going to use Herod's Temple to toss all enhancements in battle by reserving top card of my deck. So the battle's over, and he's going to play Son of God, Second Coming after battle. See, that's the power of the Herods, man. Just one card and toss everything with Herod's Temple. You have to have very specific outs to that. He has to have a card that either negates Herod's Temple or enough enhancements like Send the Helper is a good one to toss. That's like 6 For those who don't know, tossing is like, instead of playing a card and resolving the effects of the card, it's like immediately take the card, put it in the discard pile, but subtract numbers from the opponent's character. So basically you're like, imagine throwing enhancements at somebody and they're weakening the opponent. So if I threw a card like it's in the helper, it would send their defense down by 6 and their attack down by 1, I feel like. So it's like fight by, it's like another way to fight by the numbers. Needless to say, tossing is really good because it gets around, cannot be negated, cannot be prevented, cannot get interrupted, stuff like that. Tossing just says, I don't care about that. So any card that says tossing, is always worth it to take a look at that card. All right, I think it's my turn. Activated Sin the Helper. I don't think I should have done that because there's no point. I'm not going to be making a rescue attempt. I'm not going to be making a battle challenge. I can't. I have a really short turn here. I think I just have to pass the turn. Maybe I could have played Harvest Time, grabbed souls out of the decks. If I thought there was any more lost souls in my deck, that I think would have been useful. I think I have one that negates banding abilities, so that could have been good, but I think his banding can't be negated anyways. So I pass the turn back. He's playing cards down. I think trying to get low hand size than me. So my humble lost soul will be prevented. Because I think he's planning to do it like a Lazarus attack this turn. So notably, if you activate an artifact and they play Joshua, it's in danger of getting underdecked. Joshua is just really annoying. So that's another reason why I shouldn't have activated Sin the Helper, because Joshua is just gonna underdeck it now. Good thing Herod's Temple isn't an evil fortress, because he could have targeted it with Joshua. Herod's Temple is really strong. My territory is protected. King Jehu is actually going to be killing his own stuff. Oh gosh, disaster. So don't attack with King Jehu if my territory is protected. That's just going to hurt yourself. Yep, here comes Martha to Lazarus, who's negating evil cards. I'm looking at my options. I don't know what I can do here. I think Herod Agrippa is going to be my strongest block here. He's protected from heroes and dominance. Can't be prevented. So I'm going to negate Sin the Helper with Herod Agrippa. I'm going to activate Herod's Temple, reserve that card. A small price to pay for tossing everything. And because I'm protected, we just bounce off each other. He can't do anything. I'm surprised he doesn't have any cards that are going to toss. So here we're talking about how I'm just going to be able to lock up the game. I'm going to choose his character to block. I'm going to play Authority of Christ, and the game is over. So maybe the game would have been different if we'd remembered to play the thieves correctly. You could have taken that from my hand, and it would have been harder for me to get the win here. But I want to just point out that mistake so you guys don't have to make that mistake in the future. Not sure how it works with like judges and stuff. So yeah, that was the game. Some gameplay of Soul Surfer, and we got to execute our game plan. Attack with Matthew, then start attacking with these strong heroes that present really lethal attacks by themselves. And you also saw the power of the defense. It was just like, you saw I didn't really have any good defensive cards in my hand, but the few that I did were actually able to get some surprising blocks off. I would say the most powerful cards in this deck are Heritage Temple, the Lost Souls, Matthew, and Simon. And yeah. So this is just one flavor of Soul Surfers. I think other people are experimenting with different like offenses and defenses too. So this is the one from See the Trees article, which I'll link in the description. Also, in the description, you can find a full deck list that you can load into Lackey and play this deck for yourself if you want to. So thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.